Ladies and gentlemen, they tried to shut us down. They took down the YouTube channel. They gave me a 24-hour bug that my wife got from teaching elementary schoolers, but they cannot stop the Watcher, and they cannot stop the inevitable rise to the top of 10 of the world's greatest heavyweight prospects. We are here, week 1 of November 2005. Let's just keep going. 2 weeks in, no fights yet, but we do have to report Alex O'Reilly has extended his deal with Cage Rage, and George Joe is coming to the end of both his contracts. Seems like he is right in the middle of negotiations with Cage Rage. It's under 6 months on both of those, though. He does not have a fight booked right now. He's out for another 34 days before he can get on that. I can't negotiate with him because I'm not a company, but so George Joe working on that. Alex O'Reilly has gone just 1-0 in Cage Rage so far, but he has re-signed with them for another year and a half. So Alex O'Reilly extends his deal with Cage Rage. George Joe still in the process. Let's keep scrolling. Alex O'Reilly has been rewarded for his good form and new contract signing. He's been signed to fight Mustafa Al-Turk at Cage Rage 15. Mustafa 2-2. With the win over Moisey Rimbo last time out at Cage Rage 13, which I believe is the same card Alex fought on. That is true. So, 2 heavyweight winners from the same card, Alex O'Reilly and Mustafa Al-Turk, back-to-back. They'll be throwing hands on Cage Rage 15 in December. That will be on this video. Also, to note, George the Gentleman Joe, has signed an extension with Cage Rage, has not re-signed with Cage Warriors yet. 2 years, just a standard fighter contract, so he is welcome to sign with Cage Warrior if he likes. Got a raise to $2,400 per fight off of about $100 before that, so the gentleman has absolutely proven his worth. And another month or so should be probably getting put on a new fight for one company or the other. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in North Carolina tonight to watch, a local card. Nobody really important on it. The Worst Sarah, I guess, is there. Some of our indie shows have had some better names on it, but of course the most terrifying name on this show, by far, Matt Brown, the Immortal. Cool. Anyway, Ron Francis Jr. will be making his debut. 0-0 Canadian. He moved to America for more fight opportunities. Hasn't gotten them yet. He is the last of our original 10 to make his debut. He's facing Boone Newton. That is a North Carolina name if I've ever heard one. So the 6'1", 265-pound Ron Francis Jr., the Jiu-Jitsu Sambo specialist versus Boone Newton. Francis Jr. grapples, knee strikes, wrestling him up against the cage. His strike defense is excellent so far. Hits a slick takedown. Again, the jiu-jitsu specialist, body triangle, going for that rear naked choke. It's in deep, Newton taps, and Ron Francis Jr. takes just 2 minutes and 14 seconds to move to 1-0. An independent show in North Carolina. It's a great fight. Everyone loves Ron Francis Jr., and hopefully we'll be seeing much more of him soon. It won't take quite as long for him to get him his second fight. In other news, Bobby Braxton has picked up a fight at the Canadian small local show. He is 2-0 against other local fighters in Canada. He's staying active for sure. That'll be in December, so it'll be on this episode. And George Joe has joined a team. That would be the first member of our group to join a team. He's joined SBG Ireland, which I don't know what that stands for because the picture is too small, but he joins John Kavanagh, Abdul Muhammad, Alan Goes, James Thompson, and Paul McVeigh. So, George the Gentleman Joe, his Cage Rage and Cage Warriors contracts. He's got 2 wins, both by one by knockout, one by TKO, and he's got a team. George Joe moving up in the world, and just look at that handsome face. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here, Pancrase 160, hostile territory. And it will be hostile territory for Eric Fonga as he goes up against Soa Palele, 265 pounds apiece. Fonga 2-0, Soa Palele 10-1. He is a wrestler, wrestling style background, 25, 7 years on Fonga. They're both Perth, Australia natives. That's kind of a cool thing. Fonga, big favorite here, which is crazy. Both 4th and 5th ranked heavyweight fighters. in Pancrase, and this is going to have huge implications for the title picture in Pancrase. Could we be seeing Fanga getting a title shot off the potential back of a win here against Soa Palele? I don't know about you folks, I am extremely excited for this match, but let's get straight into it. No more wasting time. John McCarthy refereeing the bout. Get Palele 10-1. Fanga refuses to touch gloves, as I think he's done a couple times. Big right hook to start. Palele, another big right hook. Palele's knocked out cold. Oh my god. Eric Black Power Fanga just showed off his power. 2 right hooks ended Palele's night in 36 seconds. Unbelievable from Fanga. That has got to move him up the ranks in Pancrase and in the world after beating the formerly 10-1. Look at that. Two wins in Pancrase already. 10-1. Soa Palele. That is just unbelievable. What a fight. He's called out Asuero Silva. We will check that out in just a minute. So like I said, Fanga now 3-0, and if the pattern holds, he'll be fighting at Pancrase 163. 3-0, all in Pancrase. He's still got 3 fights on the contract in a year and 3 quarters. This is unbelievable. If he keeps winning, he'll be fighting for a title before that contract is up. He's not broken into the heavyweight rankings yet. It doesn't look like. Is that 171 fights? Is that real? That's crazy. That is just crazy. But so Fanga not broken into the top 25 quite yet. Got a bit to go on that in the heavyweight overall division. But let's run to Pancrase and check out their rankings. So heavyweight rankings, Fanga still 3-0. He called out Asuero Silva. Silva is fighting for the title later this month. That would be really interesting to see. Asuero, I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong, by the way, but Asuero Silva, he's 11-3-1. Most recently lost in Pride against Alexander Emelianenko. He got a rear naked choke win against Ryuta Noji at Pancrase 159. So definitely moving up the rankings here. So Asuero Silva. So Fanga has called out Asuero, who's number 3 in the rankings there. Jack Duplessis down at 8. And then it'd be interesting because Asuero Silva's got a title match booked. So if Silva wins that title and Fanga gets the shot at him, I mean, we could definitely be looking at Eric Fanga being a champion in his next fight, which is unbelievable. But Fanga absolutely running roughshod over the Pancrase heavyweight division. Right, ladies and gentlemen, on the main card of a small local Canadian show, Bobby Braxton looks to move to 3-0 against Cairns. He fights Raymond Mercier. He's a -100 favorite. Folks, I'm putting my entire life savings on Bobby Braxton in this one. The 6'4", 2-0 kickboxer facing off of Raymond Mercier in Canada. The two guys step in to engage. Bobby, a couple quick, huge reach advantage for Bobby. He's just a big guy. Body kick. Mercier, timing a few things, doesn't get much. Again, Bobby and him just kind of staying at a good kickboxing range. Braxton utilizing feints pretty effectively here to get some clean shots on Raymond Mercier. 2-punch combination. Mercier getting a little tired. Bobby kind of beating the energy out of him. Big left roundhouse kick. Halfway in the first round, the two striking back and forth. Braxton with a big right hand, walking down Mercier now. Mercier tries to counter left, takes the straight right in the face. Braxton, the two definitely dueling after 3.5 minutes. Braxton definitely always moving forward. Raymond Mercier struggling to find space in this match. His counters, his jabs aren't working so well. Braxton's kicked him in the legs a few times. He's hitting him with jabs. Again, another low kick to the legs. Braxton getting a little tired here. Mercier actually lands a counter jab, straight right for Braxton. Mercier tries for a takedown to end the round. Braxton says no, and that is the end of round 1. Definitely a round 1 win for Braxton, who's kind of spacing out his strikes so that Mercier doesn't ever know exactly where it's going to come from. Again, just trying those leg kicks, trying to chop down the legs of Raymond Mercier. Big right head kick from Braxton, and Mercier is out. 48 seconds into the second round, and Bobby Bruiser Braxton has knocked out Raymond Mercier with a high kick. As the fight was rated decent, I feel like it was better than that. So far he's got 2 kick knockouts and a punch knockout. Bobby the Bruiser, absolutely landing some lethal shots on people. I mean, if I was a company, I would be taking a look at signing Bobby Braxton, but that's just me. There's not a lot of companies in Canada at this point, nor are there any whatsoever, if I recall correctly. So I would recommend moving to America. But again, the only game in town in America is King of the Cage has a heavyweight division, and then UFC. But our guys probably aren't at UFC level yet, with the possible exception of Eric Fonka. But we will keep going and see what's going on. So it is New Year's Eve at the very end of 2005. We'll start off with a quick note. George Joe has been booked to fight Jupp Castile at Cage Warriors Seek and Destroy. Joe is still not signed an extension with Cage Warriors. It might seem like he's not intending to, but he has decided at least to fight out at least one more fight on his contract for $133 rather than wait for a Cage Rage fight and sign for $2,400. I don't know, man. He's crazy. Look at him. But so he will have his second Cage Warriors fight. He's fighting Jupp Castile, 18 and 16 veteran for sure. Again, fights for both promotions. Definitely a rings veteran here. I mean, look at all the fights in rings. That's crazy. But so 34 fight veteran Jupp Castile will be George Joe's next British victim. Cage Rage is tonight, and it will be on this card, headlined by a featherweight title fight. Earlier on the card, we see Alex O'Reilly versus Mustafa Al-Turk. So that'll be an exciting fight. We will get to that. However, I wanted to do this little segment here. You can tell me what you think or not, but this is an alternate history after all. And so what I wanted to do at the end of every year is basically go through pretty much just the big two, Pride and UFC, and just check on like how's everything going for them. So just checking their champions, all that. So Pride's heavyweight champion, Fedor Emelianenko, he beat Tsuyoshi Kosaka by doctor stoppage, which was apparently not a title fight. I don't know why. And then he beat Mirko Krokop, unanimous decision in 3 rounds, and he will be defending again in February against Josh Barnett. That is a killer fight right there. But so Fat Putin is got that. Wanderlei Silva is the Pride middleweight champion. No defenses so far. Several defenses so far. I don't know what I'm talking about. But there you go. 3 defenses for Wanderlei Silva. Murlio Bustamante is the welterweight champion, the equivalent of middleweight. And the lightweight champion is vacant. So nothing yet going on there. UFC champions, I think it's just interesting because UFC is kind of most everyone's first exposure to mixed martial arts. So it's kind of fun to go back and look. Frank Mir is the champion for it because apparently he hasn't had to fight Brock yet. Or no, he won it off Tim Sylvia. And he's defending it against Paul Buentello, UFC 57. Chuck Liddell, the light heavyweight champion, defending against Tito Ortiz. Middleweight champion, Nate Marquardt. UFC welterweight champion, Frank Trigg. Really interesting. Beat Matt Hughes for it. And lightweight champion is Jens Pulver. Beat Yves Edwards. I really don't know how to pronounce that, unfortunately. But there you go. The more you know. So, Jens Pulver, I believe now a 2-time... now a 2-time UFC lightweight champion. So it's kind of cool just to see what goes on there. I don't know how involved this mod is, if they start adding more weight classes as life goes on. But I guess we'll find out, right? So, but without much further ado, let us continue to watch the march up the rankings of Alex, the Maverick, O'Reilly. He's taking on Mustafa Al-Turk, Cage Rage 15 in London. Mustafa Al-Turk, 2-2. He's, he won his last fight at Cage Rage 13 by unanimous decision. Alex O'Reilly won his last fight by TKO in the second round. So we got a 1-0 fighter versus a 2-2 fighter. Definitely some prospects. Alex O'Reilly, huge favorite. Let's get straight into it. Mixed martial artists against each other. Alex O'Reilly has probably 30 pounds on him, but this is Mustafa Al-Turk's hometown, and Alex O'Reilly is Irish, so clearly not a huge fan of them in London. Big takedown, repeated heavy shots to the head, and Mustafa Al-Turk is done. All it took was a takedown and some brutal ground and pound, and Alex the Maverick O'Reilly proving Mustafa Al-Turk had no business being in the same ring as him. Absolutely none. And Alex Riley calls out George Joe. Now, the first time I tried to run this experiment, I had made a mistake, and so we were generating like new fighters that don't actually exist. And so I had to restart. However, before I had to restart it, Alex O'Reilly and George Joe had been booked against each other. So, it never happened. I don't know how it would have gone, but Alex O'Reilly calls out George Joe at Cage Rage, and the two of them are now, interested in fighting each other at the very least. So I'm very excited to see how that goes. We also start the year with news. At an American Small local show in January, we're going to have both Earl Mo and Billy Willie in action, which is really cool. As far as I know, they are not fighting each other. Nope, they are not. Alex O'Reilly moves to 2-0. He's getting paid $1,900 a fight for Cage Warriors. That's pretty cool. Let's actually check and see if Cage Warriors has rankings. They do, but I'm supposed to be looking at Cage Rage. So George Joe, 4th ranked. Bigfoot Silva, 1 rank above him. Now that's a fight right there. See how that would go. But it hasn't happened yet. Czech Congo is the Cage Rage champion. That's got to be terrifying if you are George Joe. I wouldn't want to fight Czech Congo. Cage Rage rankings, we got George Joe all the way up at 2nd now. Ian Freeman is the champion, 2-0. Lost to Bigfoot Silva in Cage Warriors, and lost to Jeff Monson as well in Cage Warriors. So Ian Freeman, kind of a paper champion here, on a 2-fight losing streak. He's medically suspended for another 4 months, so we'll have to see what happens there. But George Joe, 2nd ranked. Alex O'Reilly, 6th ranked. Both 2-0 prospects. Be very interesting to see if the two of them would end up facing off, what would happen there. But yes, like I said, Earl Mo and Billy Willie, local shows in January. We will get to them in this episode. Other than that, let's just keep simming. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will start with the biggest news we've got. Strikeforce exists. January 2006, a new promotion comes on the scene in California. This promotion will eventually get bought out by the UFC, but before then, it will launch the careers of many, many fighters. Apparently, I don't know what this 2006 thing. Oh, there you go. So Strikeforce was a kickboxing organization, and then its first ever mixed martial arts event was headlined by Frank Shamrock versus Gracie. I think Cesar Gracie. So there you go. Frank Shamrock versus Cesar Gracie. It also featured Clay Guida, Nate Diaz, Daniel Puder. Yikes, Daniel Puder. That's funny. Jorge Ortiz, Chung Lee. Like, crazy first card. But so this organization has launched. They do have a heavyweight division, and with that in mind, they have made offers to 4 fighters: Ron Francis Jr., Anderson, Billy Willie, and Earl Mo, all currently unsigned. Earl Mo, 1-0. Billy Willie, 1-0. Anderson, 1-0. Ron Francis Jr., 1-0. So 4 1-0 fighters have all been offered a contract by Strikeforce. I think they would be crazy not to take it. I will keep you updated on if that doesn't happen for any of them. As well, Bobby the Bruiser Braxton, Canadian Indie Nightmare, has been offered a contract by Pancrase, making it, assuming he accepts, 3 Pancrase fighters. 3 Pancrase heavyweights are our guys, Jack Duplessis and Eric Fonga being the other 2. So we really, as we start the year 2006, we really are seeing some incredible expansion, and I, for one, am extremely excited. All right, and just a quick little update here. Bobby Braxton has, in fact, signed with Pancrase. So in 8 days, when he's feeling fully recovered, we could be seeing some very interesting things happening in Pancrase. I'm sure he has not made the... Oh, he has. He's made the rankings at 6. 2 ahead of Jack Duplessis. I'd feel a little upset if I was Jack Duplessis, who's not actually made his Pancrase debut yet. Still recovering for another 2 months after a decent war against the local fighter. Must be all that muscle. But Bobby Braxton, in 8 days, will be ready to make his Pancrase debut should they so choose. 3-0 in the Canadian Indies. He is signed with Pancrase, and we are very excited to see where he goes from here. However, Pancrase, with all due respect, is not what we're here to talk about right now. We have 4 Strikeforce fighters now. That is what I'm talking about. Ron Francis Jr., Billy Willie, Earl Moe, and Anderson Anderson. All Strikeforce guys. They've yet to announce their first show, but I'm just going to run through their heavyweight roster here real quick. Anderson, Antoine Jadot, Anthony Hardonk, Billy Willie, Brad Imes, Brad Kohler, Brandon Lee Hinkle, a lot of Brads and Brandons, Carmelo Marrero, Chris Schucher, Christian Wellich, Dan Christensen, Dad Avinson, Daniel Puder, Devin Cole, Earl Moe, John Murphy, Ron Francis Jr., and Tony Lopez. Not exactly the... not a lot of these names would stamp their names on MMA history. Daniel Puder is the only one I know of, and I'm pretty sure it's not for a good reason. Pretty sure that's the guy who Kurt Angle fought, and Daniel Puder is the guy who fought Kurt Angle and kind of won. Apparently was undefeated in MMA in real life. Who would have thought? Regardless, Daniel Puder... So this is our Strikeforce roster. Now, in real life, the first ever Strikeforce champion and only Strikeforce heavyweight champion was Alistair Overeem. I don't believe Alistair Overeem will be coming to Strikeforce in this. He is very busy over at Pride. He's 20-5. He's the number 6 light heavyweight in the world, number 25 heavyweight in the world. He's busy fighting over at Pride and doing whatever his thing is. Got a rematch with Big Nog coming up. But that means one of our guys absolutely, there are no rankings yet, but one of our guys could absolutely be one of the first heavyweight champions for Strikeforce. Meaning they could really jump the gun and take... So, Pancrase and Strikeforce are kind of our guys right now with our 2 little British guys there. But very, very exciting times. Strikeforce exists. 4 of our guys have signed for it. And I would say things are going great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before their Strikeforce commitments begin, Billy Willie and Earl Moe have some business to handle on here. I'd like to enter Strikeforce with that 2-0 record. So Billy Willie facing local fighter, and Earl Moe facing also local fighter. Both guys 1-0 right now. Both guys signed with Strikeforce. Both guys extremely heavy favorites on the show tonight. Billy Willie is facing off with a guy named Justin Fitch. And, let's just get straight into it and see how it goes. The Thug Jitsu specialist from Little Rock, Arkansas, facing off against the something specialist from somewhere. They touch gloves, the 2 guys getting up. Big feint from Billy Willie, counterattacking. Again, Billy Willie's mastery of the thing, you'd think he isn't that technical, but his mastery of Thug Jitsu is apparently very technical. Billy Willie stops the takedown attempt and muscles up Fitch against the cage, just kind of smothering him there. Trying not to give up too much there. Goes for a takedown. Fitch grabs the cage. Gets warned by referee Herb Dean. Kind of just tapping on each other. Billy Willie trying not to... kind of seems like he's just trying not to get hurt in this fight. Going for that thing. Going for the guillotine. Fitch gets out of the guillotine, and Billy Willie has to concede that in the first round. Definitely wins the round, but... big right cross as they start the second round here. Both guys dueling on the feet, big straight right, and Fitch is out cold. That is the thug part of Thug Jitsu, is because all you got to do is land one punch, and you're going to be looking up at the lights. So Billy Willie, knockout, 40 seconds into round 2. Justin Fitch is gone, and Billy Willie is on his way to Strikeforce with a 2-0 record. Next up, later on the same card, fellow Strikeforce fighter, big, sexy Earl Moe. Just look at him. He fights with the hat on and everything, folks. Takes on Nicholas Blanchard, the Monkey's Eyebrow Kentucky fighter, wrestling style. They're just going to start it out. They're going toe-to-toe, striking. Earl, more of a ground guy for sure, but deciding to show off his boxing for his new Strikeforce bosses. Takes a few jabs for it. is trouble, but again, still fairly in control here. Right cross, stalking forward. The two are kind of just dueling on the feet right now. Again, once Mo lands that takedown, it's pretty much over, but the two of them just kind of content to strike right now. Not sure what Mo's trying to prove here without going for the takedown. Big right hook, though, to end the thing. Blanchard falls down, but Mo does not have time to go for the finish. That knockdown will definitely win him the round, though. Again, I believe Earl Mo, won by Americana in his first fight. Kind of did the same thing, let the fight go for a while, then landed the takedown in a pretty easy Americana. Kind of one of the first submissions you learn in jiu-jitsu, but still incredibly effective if people like their shoulders. Again, another minute or so of boxing. Oh, Blanchard's rocked, eats a big right hook, big uppercut, and Earl Mo picks his shots, absolutely just lays him in there, and the referee has to wave it off. Nicholas Blanchard, have a good night. Big sexy Earl Mo. Welcome to Strikeforce, 2-0. He's got a submission and a TKO, maybe showing off his range there, hard to say. But again, another big win from our guys who are collectively still undefeated. We have not had a single loss among our guys. I hope I didn't make them too strong, but honestly, I didn't put them in as that strong of people. So we will have to see, but first, let's head over to London for CW Seek and Destroy. George Joe fighting 18-16 Jupe Castile. On the main card of CW Seek and Destroy, the Scunthorpe, England native, a hard-nosed boxer, facing off against the Amsterdam, Holland native, the Dutchman, a plus 550 underdog, catch wrestler. Again, 18-16 is a pretty brutal thing. Let's see what the guys at SBG Ireland have taught George Joe. And big fight now. Joe doesn't touch gloves because that's who he is. And he's going to just try to box up here. He doesn't really want to wrestle Jupe Castile. Joe forcing exchanges of strikes. Lands a big right hook. Joe coming forward again. Castile firing at that counter jab. Big right hand from Joe. Let's see what 34 fights worth of accumulated damage has done to Jupe's chin. Big uppercut. Castile is down. George kneels beside him, hammering down with punches. Castile is done. George Joe in exactly 2 minutes. As much time as it takes to make a instant mac and cheese, George Joe has just put Jupe Castile on his back, looking at the lights, and has moved himself to 3-0. 2 in Cage Warriors, 1 in Cage Rage. And Jupe Castile says, forget it, I'm done. George the Gentleman Joe absolutely picks apart Jupe Castile with some very precise boxing, very hard boxing, and Jupe Castile is out. George Joe makes up some bad jokes about Bigfoot Silva. Great. That seems like a wise idea. George Joe has entered the renegotiation period of a CW contract, so that explains why he hadn't signed for more. Bruno Guimas has been picked up to fight at a small American show. Only 1-0, maybe didn't do enough to impress the Strikeforce brass. Try to pick up that contract in his one amateur fight so far, but he will be looking to take on a local fighter here in February. We are going to go through the end of March today, so this will be a longer video, but I hope you guys don't mind too much, because I sure don't. Also, UFC just had a big show last night. I can't remember why I wanted to look at this, but there you go. Frank Mir, still, and now the unanimous, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Frank Mir. Though I guess it's not really the unanimous undisputed champion of the world, because pride is still a really, really big thing at this point. So, it's between Frank Mir or Fedor. So obviously the real answer is Fedor. Yeah, just so I've realized we've got 4 guys in Strikeforce, 3 guys in Pancrase, 2 guys in the British scene, and just Bruno Guimas left, who is unsigned. Anderson, by the way, has been booked at the, as far as I can tell, inaugural Strikeforce card here. Yeah, Clementi versus Fitch is what they've decided to call their legendary show. So Rich Clementi versus John Fitch, and Daniel Puder versus Carmelo Marrero on the card there, who's 2 undefeated prospects. Should be a good fight. But on the prelims, we will see Anderson versus Brandon Lee Hinkle in a heavyweight bout. Again, Anderson, he's 1-0. there is no real reason. Brandon Lee Hinkle is given pretty big odds by the bookmakers, but we know better, don't we? That show will be taking place in March. It will be showcased on this episode. So the first Strike Force and our first Strike Force will be watched. So I'm excited for that. Cage Warriors has now offered Alex O'Reilly a contract, which is interesting. He has not had a contract with Cage Warriors yet. Cage Rage pays him $1,100 a fight. Double that if he wins. He always wins. So interesting to see that Cage Warriors has offered him a contract, and that will be a second battleground where him and George Joe could potentially do battle if that's what he wants. So kind of interesting to note. George Joe has accepted his challenge. Little mild heat, nothing too dramatic yet, but let's see if Alex O'Reilly will pick up that second contract. All right, and coming up at Pancrase 164, we will have Eric Fonga versus Asuero Silva, just like he called out that challenge. Asuero Silva lost the title fight, so this will not be a title fight for Fonga, but it will definitely move him in that direction versus the 11-4 and 1 no contest Asuero Silva. So very excited to see Fonga versus Asuero Silva. It will be in March. We will see that fight on this episode. And Bobby Braxton fighting on the same card, but not against the same guy, Soa Palele. So Soa Palele took his second loss of his career against Eric Fonga in December at Pancrase 160. And at Pancrase 164, he's got to fight Bobby Braxton. Like, this poor guy doesn't know what he's in for, does he? Additionally, Alex O'Reilly has signed for Cage Warriors, so we will be seeing him potentially take some fights up there too. All right, let's stick to the locals as fan favorite. The one, Bruno Guimas, continues his crusade against the American independent scene. He's 1-0, no Strikeforce contract for him yet. Might be a little bitter about it, only unsigned fighter out of our original 10. So the one, Bruno Guimas from Portugal, all the way across the ocean for an opportunity. And Marco Lopez is on the receiving end of that, what that opportunity looks like for today. So the mixed martial artist from Portugal, toe-to-toe shot, big right head kick. Lopez is rocked, nearly gets knocked out cold or get decapitated. Guimas says, fine, forget that. Lopez defends the takedown somewhat. Lopez, decent takedown defense. Guimas kind of going back to the well again and again. Little punches here. Kind of seemed like Guimas was definitely hoping for a takedown and couldn't get it. Not sure what to do. Kind of some weak left hands. Guimas in control, but not a very exciting fight. Could be why Strikeforce hasn't signed him yet. Hard to say. Guimas, 2 jabs and a right head kick, then the takedown. Head kick to takedown's a tough combination. Took 4 attempts, but he finally gets one. Tries to pass the guard. Heads to side control. Tries for the arm triangle, and that's it. Bruno Guimas. There's nothing boring about submissions, folks. 2 minutes, 18 seconds into round 2. The arm triangle puts an end to Mark Lopez's day. The one, Bruno Guimas, moves to the 2-0 and remains undefeated, as do all of our guys. Nothing quite exciting happening yet, but we will keep going and we'll see what happens. Sorry for the interruption, but I did want to show off this fight real quick. Number 2 flyweight woman in the world. Good for her. But we had Patricio Freire, and in the prelims, some lady named Chris Cyborg, all on one independent show. Like, I love this historical independent show because that's just so much fun to see. Like, oh yeah, 2 fairly decent guys and absolute legend. Like, yeah, it's just fun to look at. All right, the beginning of the month means a lot of contract stuff going on. Chuck Liddell is now apparently a free agent. Well, he's ready to renegotiate. He is the light heavyweight champion of UFC, so probably he would like to re-sign there. But it's always fun to see how many of those get to go on. But the bigger news today, George Joe has fought somebody in the street and is now out for the next 2 months dealing with the court. So, congratulations, George Joe, for being the first person we have to have an incident. Apparently, your $2,400 a month is not enough to keep you out of, or $2,400 a fight is not enough to keep you out of trouble. You have decided to fight someone in the street. Granted, that's exactly who George Joe is as a person. I'm not surprised. little disappointed. So for the next 2 months, George Joe will not be getting booked or fought or anything like that. However, someone who did get booked, Alex O'Reilly. We do have one British guy who could relatively stay out of trouble. He will be facing off against Wagner Martins, a Brazilian, 1-1. Lost to Czech Congo, no shame in that. The two of them will be fighting at CW Jackpot in March. So we will again see that on this episode because we are finishing to the end of March on this episode. So we got, at the very least, we have CW Jackpot, and we've got Strike Force on here. I don't think we've got anybody on this Pride card. We do. We have Fanga. So we have still another 4 fights at least on this episode. So get your popcorn, get your water, and let's get back to it. Well, there it is, folks. Not Strike Force, but King of the Cage has offered our very own Bruno Guimas a contract. He'd be joining such heavyweight legends like Ken Shamrock, Kimo Leopoldo, Ron Waterman, who is also the Pancrase heavyweight champion, Roy Nelson, Tim Sylvia, you might be aware of him. So very, very cool heavyweights on that one. So King of the Cage has offered Bruno Guimas a contract, hoping he accepts it. Don't see any reason why he wouldn't. But first of all, it's Strike Force time, folks. On the undercard, we have Anderson versus Brandon Lee Hinkle. Anderson is a huge underdog, but he's got 30 pounds on the guy, so we'll have to see how it goes. But the very first Strike Force show of all time, our own Anderson faces off against Brandon Lee Hinkle. And without better things to do, let's see if the Muay Thai kickboxing specialist from Rio de Janeiro can take out the wrestler from West Virginia. Here we go. The featured prelim of the night. Anderson immediately comes out of the gate swinging, landing 5, 6, 7 punches, 8, 9 punches now. Hinkle has no idea what to do. I think his corner might have told him to watch out for this kid, but apparently he didn't believe it. Anderson, right hand, left hand, right hand again, getting in close. Of course, he should look confident. He's destroying Hinkle. Hinkle, I don't know if he's landed a punch yet. Anderson is absolutely piecing up Brandon Lee Hinkle. I don't know if Hinkle was prepared for this. I don't know what's going on, but Anderson has landed 23 jabs. Brandon Lee Hinkle's landed 2. This is an absolute exhibition for Anderson, and he hasn't gone to the ground yet. Granted, that's not really his thing. Yeah, Hinkle looks shell-shocked. Hinkle wants to take him to the ground. Now Anderson on his back. Anderson trying to scramble. Hinkle gets to side control, tries for the Kimura. Oh, man, you hate to see it. Anderson was absolutely piecing up Brandon Lee Hinkle on the feet, but the 16-fight veteran had enough savvy to him to go for the takedown, land that Kimura, and put away Anderson, who is now a 1-1 fighter. Unfortunate, but far from the end of his career. He has many, many fights ahead of him. Again, it's sad to see we're no longer undefeated as a group. Anderson, no longer undefeated, but it was bound to happen eventually, and it goes to show that our guys aren't ridiculously overpowered, thankfully. But I am sad for Anderson. Did not train to defend against the Kimura, and it cost him. Also, I just want you guys to know, if you have like a decent computer, this game runs so fast. Chael Sonnen has signed an extension, in case you're curious. Bruno Guimas has in fact signed with King of the Cage. King of the Cage, no shows on their schedule yet. They're not the most consistent output company. They have a decent sized roster, so I don't know. But Bruno Guimas has signed with King of the Cage, leaving all of our guys signed. No free agents left of the original 10. If you want to add a free agent to the batch, drop a message to me, and we will get it. We will make it happen. But for now, it's Pancrase time. Our co-main event of the evening is Eric Fanga versus Asuero Silva. They've never fought before. Silva is a moderate favorite, but not a super strong favorite. I'm not actually sure the rules of Pancrase. I think it's just one 10-minute round. But in the prelims, Soa Palele and Bobby Braxton will be facing off. So let's start with that. Soa the Palele, he's, 2-1 in Pancrase, at least since this save started. And 2-1 in Pancrase in real life, because he never actually fought there. Or not in real life, but overall. Bobby the Bruiser Braxton, 3-0, none of which came in Pancrase. He is making his Pancrase debut against Sola Palele, whose only loss in Pancrase came against Eric Fonga, another one of the Watcher guys. So let's get started with that and see what happens. Sola Palele, a wrestler. Bobby the Bruiser Braxton, a kickboxer. Touch gloves. They got 10 minutes to make this happen. Left cross. Palele coming in for the takedown. Braxton's down. Palele trying to get past his guard. Gets side control. Braxton scrambles. In half guard now. Palele again trying to pass. Braxton scrambling. He's north-south. Gets side control. They're up against the ropes. Palele tries another takedown. Again, Palele really just sitting here trying to take it down. Braxton really needs to land something here. Otherwise, he's going to end up on his back eventually. Palele just trying to take him down and again and again and again. Palele exhausting himself, though, at doing the same thing. If Braxton can, last a little longer, Palele is going to gas himself ridiculously bad. Again, Palele, I don't even know how many, takedowns that is. A lot. It's kind of ridiculous. Palele trying a little bit of dirty boxing. He's 5 minutes into the round. He's exhausted. Moving into the second half of the round now. Can't look at statistics, unfortunately, mid-round. Palele doing some dirty boxing. Braxton tied up against the ropes for, 6 minutes now? Braxton really, really needs to get free and end this fight. Palele, again, just smothering him. He's tired, but there's only 3 minutes left. If Braxton can't make something happen, then he's going to be in a world of trouble. Sola Palele just smothering Braxton. Braxton cannot get free. I've been in combat sports. I've been that exhausted, but that's tough. Braxton just did not land anything this entire fight. All three judges have agreed that Palele is the winner. Hard to say it's any kind of robbery. Fantastic fight, I've been told. I don't really believe it. Palele attempted 10 takedowns, landed 1, and then hit 56 jabs. Bobby Braxton, 1 jab. So I don't know how Braxton thought he was going to win that fight, but he forgot to fight or something. That was tough. Bobby Braxton moves to 3-1, 0-1 in Pancrase, and now Eric Black Power Fonga really wants to stop the skid from our Watcher fighters here. He himself is 3-0, but our guys have lost 2 straight. He's 3-0 in Pancrase. Asuero Silva just 1-1 in Pancrase so far. But Asuero Silva coming off an unsuccessful title fight. Black Power Fonga coming from a KO victory, a 36-second KO victory against Sola Palele. His last fights haven't lasted long. Let's get straight into this one. Can Fonga's Muay Thai overpower Asuero Silva's Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu? I guess we will find out. Neither of them offer the glove touch. It's not Fonga's thing. Big right cross. Right hand again. Fonga throwing big bombs here, glaring at his opponent. Hard cross. Silva tries to take down. Fonga sort of stops it. Silva pushes it up against the ropes. Let's really hope we don't see a repeat here. They're kind of just throwing short punches. Silva smothering him against the ropes. Tries for that takedown again. Fonga says nope. And again, takedown. And again, the takedown. This is ridiculous, folks. There is no honor in Pancrase, apparently. But there is a lot of tough love, which is what this show is called. Silva spamming the takedowns. Fonga actually gets some separation. Silva comes in looking for the takedown. Partial defense. And he's back up against the ropes. Fonga landed some hard shots early, but I don't know if Fonga can get the win on this, just on the strength of eating 7 consecutive takedowns. I mean, we might get north of 10 on this one. Fonga actually gets away from it this time, trying to get some strike exchange going. Big leg kick from Fonga. Silva's looking shattered. He's clinching, trying to muscle him up against the ropes. Fonga out-wrestles him, tries to take him down, and succeeds. Silva's down. Fonga right to the back, gets the hooks in, tries for the rear naked choke. Silva saying no, not yet. Fonga loses the hooks, tries the rear naked choke again. Arms not in, legs aren't in. Silva's trying to budge Fonga. Fonga trying that rear naked choke. 11 seconds left, and that is it. That's the end of the fight. We'll check the metrics. 0 of 12 on takedowns from Silva. 1 of 1 for Fonga. 3 power punches. 17 jabs. A bunch of submission attempts. For my money, this is a Fonga win for sure. The ring announcer's giving the official decisions. Let's check it out. All 3 judges give the victory to Eric Fonga. the first decision victory in Fanga's career, but in 10 minutes to take on a 11-4-1 fighter, way more experience than you, has fought for his 2-1 record in Pride. Like, absolutely no shame in decision victory there. Fanga wants to fight Kazuo Takahashi. I don't know who that is, but I can check. Kazuo Takahashi is who Eric Fanga is calling out. So 1 win and 1 loss on that Pancrase show. Again, Solo won that one. Kazuo Takahashi, there you are. He beat Edson Drago on the previous Pancrase thing. It's an interesting choice. Definitely an interesting choice of call out. He's 27, 21, and 3. Like, I don't know if Fanga just wants to beat up an old man. If I was Fanga, I would have called for the title shot against Waterman, for sure. But maybe it's not going to happen. Waterman's fighting at King of the Cage next. Did just successfully defend his title against Asuero Silva. It is tough to see what Fanga was thinking with that call out. I guess Takahashi is 1 spot ahead of him in the rankings, but realistically, he should be aiming his sights a little higher. Regardless, Fanga 4-0, beating Asuero Silva by unanimous decision. Big win from Fanga. I don't mean to discount it at all by complaining about the style, complaining about the results. It's tough, but we are excited for Fanga, who's moved to 4-0 in his professional career, and 4-0 in Pancrase as well. So we will just sim till the end of March, like I said, 1 more week, and we are at the end of this supersize 47-minute episode. Yikes. Sorry, guys. All right, folks, it is Saturday, week 4 of March 2006. We are back in London for another Cage Warriors fight, semi-main event of the evening. Wagner Martins, 1-1 Cage Warriors guy, only career loss to Czech Congo, versus a 2-0 Alex the Maverick O'Reilly, his Cage Warriors debut. He has 2-0 in Cage Rage, but this is his Cage Warriors debut. It's a good card. Martin Kampmann on the, wow, he's like no body hair. Anyway, Martin Kampmann on the main event, but let's get straight into our last fight of this extra super long size episode. Wagner Martins, a huge underdog. Alex O'Reilly, the mixed martial artist from Dublin in London, facing off the Vale Tudo specialist. O'Reilly goes for the takedown, drives him up against the cage, really just smothering him, short punches. Zuluzino struggling to get anything going down here, getting exhausted. O'Reilly, big combo, quick takedown attempt. Zuluzino defends it up against the cage. See, this is, yes, the takedown offenses and the control against the cage is happening here, but he's also doing other things, landing hard shots to the head, sharp right to the ear. Yeah, O'Reilly definitely wins that round. Huge scenario, or huge favorite here. Shoots for the takedown. He's going to get it one of these days. There he goes. Gets it immediately in the second round. Zuluzino can't do anything about it. Trying to free himself from guard, but can't. Just hitting some short strikes, going for underhooks. Just some grappling here. Pretty classic mixed martial arts grappling from O'Reilly. Passes to side control. Zuluzino scrambles. O'Reilly gets it. Goes for the Kimura. Can't get that quite yet. Tries to pass guard. Hits the Kimura again. Nope, nothing. O'Reilly just swinging at him now. Oh, there we go. So O'Reilly uses the threat of the Kimura to set up a huge strike to the chin and then just pounds on the face of Zuluzino. Wagner Martins is out cold. That'll be rated a knockout via punch for Alex O'Reilly. 2 TKOs and a knockout so far. 100% finish rate, 100% win rate, intact for Alex, the Maverick O'Reilly. And when we return, it will be April. We will do April through June of 2006. But as you can see, all of our fighters starting to get bigger opportunities here. Alex O'Reilly, 3-0. Anderson 1-1 with signed with Strikeforce. Billy Willie, 2-0 and a Strikeforce guy. Bobby the Bruiser Braxton, 3-1 and a Pancrase fighter. The one, Bruno Guimas, 2-0, King of the Cage. Big Sexy Earl Mo, 2-0 with Strikeforce. Eric Fonga, 4-0 with Pancrase. And the Rookie of the Year, not Female Fighter of the Year, Rookie of the Year. Huge from Fonga. I didn't even see that. George Joe, he's in jail. He beat up a guy in the street and is currently in jail, but I'm sure he'll be back soon. Jack Duplicious, 2-0. Ron Francis Jr., just 1-0. Both of Duplicious with Pancrase. Hasn't gotten a fight for them yet, but I think he just kind of recovered. Ron Francis Jr., 1-0, and has now signed with Strikeforce. So that is an overview of all of our guys. Thank you for watching The Watcher. I am so grateful for all of your support, and we will be back soon.